Yes, time of death approximately 8:30 p.m.
Have you ever asked yourself how crime scene investigators are able to tell how long someone has been dead? Well, you're probably never gonna need it, but today you're going to find out. Contrary to many depictions in movies or series, establishing the time of death of an individual is usually a quite complex process that often provides uncertain or questionable results. Many factors can be considered in determining the time of death. We are going to take a closer look on the most important changes of the human body after death and their occurrence now. Livor Mortis, or post-mortem lividity, is the settling of blood in the lower or dependent parts of the human body after death, resulting in a purplish-red discoloration of the skin. This occurs due to the cessation of the heart's pumping action, allowing gravity to pull the blood downwards where it pools in the blood vessels. Livor Mortis usually begins within 20 minutes to 3 hours after death and becomes fixed where the discoloration does not blanch when pressed after 6 to 12 hours. Areas of the body resting against a firm surface will appear pale compared to the surrounding livor mortis because the blood vessels in these regions are compressed, preventing blood from pooling. The pattern and extent of livor mortis can provide information about the position of the body at and after death. A body, for example hanging from a rope, should show lividity in the lower body parts. If a hanging body is found with a different pattern, that means the body has been moved, possibly to stage a suicide. Rigor mortis is a post-mortem phenomenon that refers to the stiffening of muscles after death due to chemical changes in the body. It starts shortly after death, but usually isn't noticeable for several hours. The stiffness increases over time, peaking between 8 to 12 hours post-mortem at room temperature. Rigor mortis sets in the position the body was in at the time of death and once fully developed, can support the body by the head and ankles. If rigor is disrupted during its development, it can redevelop in the new position. However, if broken after reaching its peak, it's unlikely to redevelop. Anti-gravitational rigor mortis, or rigor inconsistent with the body's position, indicates the body has been moved. Several factors can hasten the onset of rigor mortis, including increased body temperature from fever, terminal seizures, or high environmental temperatures. Conversely, cooler temperatures will slow the onset. Once rigor mortis is fully developed and decomposition begins in the muscles, rigor will start to dissipate, with a rate depending on the same factors that affected its development. After death, the body begins to cool at a rate that can be roughly estimated. Typically, body temperature decreases by about 1.5 degrees Celsius per hour during the first few hours after death, until it matches the surrounding environmental temperature. A relatively simple formula to estimate the time since death in hours is 37 degrees Celsius minus body core temperature in Celsius plus 3. However, this formula does not account for factors such as heavy clothing, fluctuations in environmental temperature, or changes in body temperature before death, due to a high fever for example. These variables can significantly alter the rate of cooling, rendering this formula basically useless for any serious forensic investigation. Forensic scientists have since developed numerous, much more complex formulas to consider these variables, but none of them has yet been able to pinpoint the time of death more accurately than within a range of several hours. Putrefaction is the process of decay or breakdown of complex organic substances into simpler compounds by the action of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms. This process results in the release of gases, liquids, and various byproducts, which often produce strong, unpleasant odors, which is unfortunately one of the reasons why pathology is one of the more unpopular specialties amongst medical students. Putrefaction starts typically from 3 to 7 days post-mortem. Putrefaction, driven by microbial activity, primarily from gut bacteria, produces gases that cause the body to bloat. Blood vessels become visible through the skin due to marbling, a result of blood breaking down and bacteria infiltrating the vessels. During this stage, the outer layers of skin may blister and peel away, a phenomenon known as skin slippage. Active decay follows. Occurring from 7 to 21 days post-mortem, the body undergoes black putrefaction, collapsing as gases escape and tissues break down further. The body may now appear blackened due to extensive breakdown of blood and tissues. Insect activity, particularly from flies, intensifies, with maggots consuming soft tissue. Advanced decay sets in from 3 weeks to 2 months post-mortem. The body dries out and remaining soft tissues are either mummified or liquefied. The smell of decomposition changes from a putrid, rotten egg-like smell to a more of a foul, sweetish odor due to the production of butyric acid. Eventually, the body reaches skeletonization, a stage that can occur from as early as 1 week to several years post-mortem. The rate of decomposition is, as always, heavily influenced by temperature, with higher temperatures accelerating decomposition by increasing the activity of bacteria and insects, while lower temperatures slow the process. Humidity also affects decomposition, as moist environments promote rapid bacterial growth, whereas dry conditions more likely lead to mummification. By examining the development stages of insects found on decomposing bodies, forensic entomologists can estimate the time since death. Different species of insects colonize a corpse in a predictable sequence. The human body then becomes host to a whole ecosystem of insects. Primary necrophages are insects that feed on human tissue, attracting predator insects, such as spiders, which then feed on the necrophages. Some insects, like maggots, undergo metamorphosis, meaning they follow a set cycle of development. Adult flies lay eggs on decomposing matter. The eggs hatch within a few hours to a few days, depending on temperature. After hatching, the larva or maggot emerges and begins feeding on the decomposing material. Once the maggot has completed its growth, it enters the pupal stage. During the stage, it forms a puparium, a hardened case around itself. Inside the puparium, the maggot undergoes metamorphosis, transforming into an adult fly. This stage can last from a few days to several weeks, also depending on temperature. In the last stage, the fully developed adult fly emerges from the puparium. Adult flies then mate, and the females lay eggs, continuing the life cycle. By systematically analyzing these factors, forensic entomologists can provide a reliable estimate of the time since death. This is of course only possible if insects have colonized the body. It is surprising, however, how well insects, especially flies, can detect corpses. In most cases, these little beasts will find a way to penetrate even into closed rooms. Though unscientific, in the end often the most accurate determinations can be made through scene markers, like information from neighbors about when they last saw the individual, the last time their mobile phone was unlocked, or they used social media. Determining the time of death is crucial for both criminal and civil investigations. In criminal cases, it can pinpoint the time of a murder, help to rule out suspects, and verify or refute alibis. In civil matters, the time of death can affect inheritance decisions or the validity of an insurance policy. Contrary to what you may see on television, determining the time of death in real life is a rather complicated matter that often provides only imprecise results. If you found this video informative, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content.